we go. Now, like many of you, we should have not been sweating as Mets fans in game one of a 3-game set against the Pittsburgh Pirates, yet we were doing exactly that, but thankfully in the end, the Metropolitans come out victorious. How we feeling, everybody? How we doing on this fine Monday evening here? It's your guy, Wardy, and we're back at it with our latest New York Metropolitan post-game show presented by our great friends at BetUS and SeatGeek, and tonight, we're going to get into everything that transpired in this latest New York Metropolitan victory, winning in a walk-off fashion by a final score there of 4-3. No, it wasn't easy. Yes, it was a lot more sweaty than it should have been against a depleted Pittsburgh Pirates offense, but in the end, Nimmo is robbing home runs and making big doubles. We're seeing Jeff McDoubles get in on the run-scoring action. Francisco Lindor looked good, then looked bad, then looked good again. Luis Angel Acuna was fantastic, then made one very boneheaded play, but in the end, thankfully, the polar bear steps up when the Mets needed him to most with that clutch sac fly after Juan Soto had one of his bigger hits as of late for this Mets team, moving the runner over to third. And again, the Mets go on to win this one by a final score of 4-3. We have so much to get into in tonight's jam-packed post-game show, everybody, because not only are we going to be breaking down this ball game, but I know as many of you guys see the hat right now, a lot of us Knicks fans are absolutely buzzing because the Knicks are on the cusp of going up 3-1 against the Boston Celtics here and round 2 of the NBA playoffs. So if you are a fan of teams in the orange and blue, you are absolutely loving yourself right now as the clock is ticking down. Pritchard sets for a 3. He misses. Jalen Brunson on the rebound. They're going to foul him still, and that's okay. How we feeling, everybody? Spam those W's in the live show right here, right now, as we're going to break down everything that transpired from this amazing victory. How we doing? Seamus, great member. We got my man JR. Sway, how we doing? Lewis Duran, great member. Chad, a great member. Dominic, great member. What a game indeed. Seamus, great member. How we doing? Rebecca, Kish, great member. Pat, thank you so much for the $2 hollow, Pat. Pat says, defense was at a premium, but a W is a W, LGM. Absolutely. Jermaine, thank you so much for the $3 hollow earlier. I appreciate that a lot as well. Chad, how we doing? Lloyd in the chat. Chris going up the list here. G-Money, how we doing? Zach Flagerton. Steve Lawn, great member, going up here. Michael Massa, how we doing? Kish, great member. Moon Shadow, great member. D, great member. Chad O'Neill, great member. Oh my goodness. Eric Douglas, Juliet Hawkins. We have every great member in the chat tonight. How we doing? Come one, come all. James Carroll, great member. Alberto Tito Soto, great member. Brian Torres, great member. Stony, great member. My goodness. You guys are all in tonight. You're locked in. I love that. Hyper Mario is in here as well. We got my man Dave Kaplitz in here per usual. I'm sure at some point. Carlos Ortiz, how we doing, guys? A lot to get into in this one, as yes, the New York Knickerbockers have officially won Game 4 at Madison Square Garden over the Boston Celtics. So I apologize if you're not a Knicks fan, but I'm absolutely buzzing right now. I'm through the roof between the Knicks game being as dominant as it was in the end, between the Mets having this back and forth the way that they did. We have a lot to get into, and we're riding high here on this amazing Monday night. Spam those W's in the chat, everybody. I want to see them spam live and on replay, as we're going to break down everything that happened, innings 1 through 9 this ball game, key players, standouts, and highlights, among many other things. Juliet, great member, thank you kindly for gifting someone a membership in the chat. That was really nice of you, Juliet. Shout out to you for doing exactly that. Gifts BR, who actually is a previous giveaway winner on the channel here, said membership, so that's great to see. We love to see it. We got Brennan Schuett with the $2 holla. Brennan, thank you for the donation there and playback as well. LFGM, but damn, that was an ugly game. It was ugly, but the boys won it in the end. Aaron Jacobs, great member of a month, says, let's go Mets. Absolutely, my friend. Folks, you know what the drill is by now, but let me enlighten you in case you're new here. After every big victory throughout the course of the 162, Trenton Wright, great member in the chat as well. All you guys, Lloyd, walk-off, baby. $2 holla. Thank you kindly for that. After every big win throughout the course of the 162, we do something corny. We do something a little fun. You love it, you hate it, but you're here to stay for a reason. Folks, we got to let it rip, as always, with the one, the only, the official New York Metropolitan post-game jingle. Let's go, baby. Hype me up.
Post-game. Post-game. Calling all Knicks fans, come and join us now. Talking about this game and gonna break it down.
Shout out to my guys, Greg and Jordan, as always, with the official WardyNYM post-game jingle. Can't thank them enough for their endless support here on the platform, as they are nothing short of absolutely fantastic. And also, can't thank my awesome friends enough here that many of you guys know at, yes, SeatGeek. SeatGeek has you covered for all of your ticketing needs front, so I'll be quick with this, folks. If you guys don't know SeatGeek, then you are missing out. Not only do they have over 70,000 active events to choose from, making them the #1 rated ticketing app in the game today for a reason, but folks, SeatGeek will have you covered for your Mets tickets, concert show tickets, comedy show tickets, you name it. And the best part of them is truly their grading scale that you guys see beside me. When you go into the SeatGeek app, you look at tickets and you look on a scale of 1 to 10 and from red to green. If it's in the green, it's from 7 to 10. That means it's a great bang for your buck. If it's more in the 1 through 5 range, more in the red, it's not a good bang for your buck and you shouldn't get said tickets. So SeatGeek has you covered with an honest opinion and evaluation for all these tickets. And of course, guys, if you want tickets for Mets tickets, we got you covered. If you need them for concert show tickets, different sports events like NBA playoffs right now, if you're trying to catch the next game for the Knicks as they try to, in fact, in Boston, secure themselves a huge 5-game series victory. So we'll see what happens on that front, folks. But for all your ticketing needs, simply do the following by clicking the link down below in the description, everybody. And that is by checking out our awesome friends at SeatGeek and utilize your promo code WARDY10. That way you guys get 10% off your next ticketing purchase. And once more, shout out to SeatGeek for being an amazing sponsor here on the platform. But let's get into this, guys. Greg, thank you kindly for the $5. Oh, I really appreciate that. Greg says, happy for the win. Through yesterday of teams with top 10 winning percentages. Mets are 9th in runner scoring position, 226 average. The Dodgers 299. Yeah, Greg, I understand the rightful concern. The Mets won this ball game, but something that will not be lost from this ball game that I'm going to reiterate plenty throughout the course of the live show today for our live and replay viewers is the following. The Mets were an absolutely putrid 3 for 14 with runners in scoring position tonight, and they left 9 on base. While yes, it's always great to see the boys win because that's a very important thing, the context and how they win is equally as important at times, especially when the Mets continue to have their woes with the runners in scoring position. And I will give them the benefit of the doubt. Of course, it's easier said than done than to hit on Paul Skenes. But the Mets did have runners on base, 2 on, less than 2 out, 4 times in this ball game. At least, and only once were they able to drive in runs initially. And that was after there was a leadoff double by Brandon Nimmo that led McNeil to drive him in early in this ball game. So we're going to talk all about that, and I don't want to waste any time, but we do have a really awesome stat that I want to share with each and every one of you guys. And come one, come all my Mets fans, all my Knicks fans, whoever you're a fan of, come in here, everybody, and let me see your initial live reactions and the comments down below on replay as the Mets have themselves a walk-off victory by a final score of 4-3. The New York Metropolitans are the first team to start their home schedule 16-4 since the 2015 New York Mets season. You know what happened in 2015, Mets fans? The Mets didn't go all the way, but they did have themselves quite a run, a magical run. If the Mets are going to have a run of similarity to 2015, I'm not going to complain. The only thing that I would say is that I hope that the outcome is a little bit different than what we saw right around now a decade ago. I can't believe that 2015 was a decade ago, because for those that don't know, that is great context behind my fandom. I've always been a diehard Mets fan, but I was more of a casual baseball fan in general until that 2015 season where my cousin Blaze said to me, Wardy, or at the time Tyler, because he wasn't calling me Wardy then, you got to watch the game you got to watch the series this weekend. I'm like, why? And he's like, because if the Mets win this series over the Nationals, they're going to be first place in the division for the first time in like forever. So I watched the series. It's filled with the Wilmer Flores drama, Yoenis Cespedes coming, and the rest is history. It was a perfect reel-in to lock in on the Mets daily, and obviously they fell short that year, but it was a great not only run for themselves, but also for my fandom to further birth now what we are doing today, the largest Mets platform on YouTube covering the Mets nightly for each and every one of you amazing Mets fans. And do you be on the lookout, folks? I'm hoping to have this out on audio as well for you guys to drop in the AM barring changes. If it's not up, I apologize, but I am trying to get up back on audio for all you guys on Spotify, Apple, everywhere that you guys search your audio engines when trying to get podcasts or shows, I'm going to be on there. Like what we did this past year in playoffs, we're going to be doing again for hopefully the remainder of the season. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And yes, I was 15 in 2015. It is absolutely insane to think about that, right, Zach? We're the same. You and I are the same, baby. We love to see it. We love to hear it. But Knicks fans, Mets fans, fans of the blue and orange, rejoice as we have ourselves an amazing victory to break down. It wasn't easy, but the boys got the job done. And all right, guys, it starts here. Let's get it going. And I'm actually actually going to send this real quick to my guy Andrew. If I didn't, because this is an awesome stat for us to do a little thing on real quick. And I did. Perfect. All right, guys. Also going to just retweet once the Knicks winning because that feels mandatory. And then you guys will have my undivided attention for the next hour. I promise. I pinky promise. Okay, everybody, this ball game starting the first. We had our veteran southpaw and David Peterson facing off against Mr. Paul Skenes, a flamethrower right-hander. Yes, we also did hit 33,000 subscribers on the platform. Thank you guys kindly for that. We covered this Mets game for those that don't know in the Playback app, and you can check that out by heading over to playback.tv/WardyNYM, link down below, where we do live streams every single week in the Playback app, and we did it on YouTube as well, but only for the first 4 innings because I want to incentivize you guys further to head over to Playback. All you need is an MLB TV subscription, and it is free to enter there and Playback otherwise. And you can watch the Mets game live in real time with your guy Wardy. And our next watch party, barring changes, everybody, is going to more than likely be this Friday against the New York Yankees. Again, barring changes, it's not official yet. I will give you guys a further announcement later in the week, but I do want to do 2 this week, and I think that Subway Series is a perfect time to do so. So be on the lookout for it potentially this Friday. And one final nugget that I do have for you guys, I've been meaning to reiterate and constantly share, and this is in the description for you guys to check out here for the show. I promise, I pinky promise. It's the final thing that I'm going to ramble about right now. If this is going to pull up the way that I need it to, let me see if I can get it to do exactly that. Or if it's not going to load. Of course it isn't. Okay, now you make me click on the wrong thing. Jack, thank you so much for the donation. Jack in the chat says, Knicks win. Tatum might be hurt. One more win. I know, I don't wish injury on anyone. I'm a big fan of Tatum's as someone who is a Duke fan, but I hate him right now in the playoffs. I don't wish injury on anybody. That sucks to see. I want the Knicks to beat the best while they're fully healthy, but hey, they have to deal with the cards that are dealt, right? They can't factor in if Tatum can't play or not, so we'll see. But guys, as many of you guys know, and I will reiterate again, leading up to the event, obviously, we have something cooking this year. We have our official Wardy Day at Citi Field this August 1st against the San Francisco Giants, the day after the MLB trade deadline, after we've been live streaming the entire day, covering all the MLB trade rumors and news that the Mets do especially. We're going to be in attendance with all you amazing Mets fans, and we have select tickets already available, guys. So if you want to check it out, for the on-field access, you'll get pregame with your guy Wardy, an $18 drink voucher, which is so nice. They're not standard seats, and you're right next to the bar should you guys want to have some brews throughout the course of the ball game. So feel free to check it out. It is the top link in the description of our live show here. Wardy Day tickets here. Check them out, everybody. We already sent out a lot to our people on our pre-sale priority list, in which they've already secured a lot of early tickets. So again, guys, get them while they're hot, while they're out there, because depending on how many people we get, we may extend to a second lounge if we sell out fairly earlier than we initially expected. So again, thank you guys so much for the support there. So excited to make events happening now live from Citi Field, where we'll be attending, hanging out together, just like what we're doing our watch parties this time in real life, as well as doing a live show there after the ball game live from Citi Field that you guys will be able to interact with your guy Wardy on. Final thing is Ryan gifts 5 memberships. Oh my goodness, Ryan, thank you so much for that. You get a membership, you get a membership, you get a membership, you get a membership. You love to see it. Ryan gifts Peter, Raphael, Frank, Todd, all in the chat. New memberships. Thank you so much for doing that. It means the world to me. The memberships go a long way. If you want to become a member, click the link down below in the description to sign up today. We're going to be doing actually a YouTube only, membership only live show a week or so from now for our latest Q&A segment for you guys to interact with me one-on-one, which I love to do each month with you amazing members. But all right, guys, no worries about missing a PB9. You'll get in there hopefully Friday when we cover it against the Yankees. But this ball game begins in the first inning between the Pirates and the New York Metropolitans, and we would see right away in the first, David Peterson gets a quick first couple outs there that we'd see on Brian Hayes and Brian Reynolds. Then we would see Andrew McCutchen get on with a walk. A 2-out walk for the veteran, Andrew McCutchen, I've always admired, always been a fan of. Joey Bart then gets on with a walk, and Joey Bart continues to look so good after being obviously not too great during his time with the San Francisco Giants as a top prospect. Things have changed since then, but he has really refound himself and rejuvenated his career the past year plus here that we've seen. Let's see. Forget 7 line. Well, no, we can't say forget 7 line because 7 line are friends here, and I love them. Not going to be doing those outings as consistently as they do, but we will be doing outings from time to time for sure, starting August 1st. So make sure you guys check it out. We're going to have so much fun at Citi Field. Blindbeard, thank you for the $2 haul. Blindbeard says, I can't even figure out how to be a member. I apologize, Blindbeard, about that. There's a simple link down below in the description of the live show. It's a couple links down. Click that. Very easy to work with, but I understand you are dealing with the fact that you are legally blind, so that's a little bit more difficult to navigate. I get that. AZ with the $5 haul. Thank you, AZ. He says, we say go New York, go New York, go. Knicks win, Mets win. Put it in the books. Hype me up, AZ. And I also apologize, AZ. Like a week or so ago, you donated in the chat, and I missed it. I screenshot it on my phone, and I meant to go back and address it, because when people donate before I even start the live stream, sometimes I miss it otherwise, because the chat is popping with hundreds of people the way we got 400 concurrent right now. Hit that like and subscribe button on your way in, guys, if you enjoy the content, because we are giving away a Mets jersey of whatever player currently won on the roster a week from now. So I believe next Monday or so in our next live show, then I'll be giving away a jersey to one lucky subscriber. And we've already given away 2 Juan Soto jerseys this year and a Juan Soto shirt jersey just for our latest 1,000 subscriber milestones on the platform. So as a further thank you for 33K, that's what you guys will be getting in return. So thank you guys kindly for that. But anyways, Gorski strikes out. Big strikeout for David Peterson. That does it then for the first. As we get to the bottom of the first, everybody, we would see Lindor with an opposite field single right away off of Paul Skenes. So Francisco Lindor, who's batting over 400 and leadoff so far this year, yet again gets on with a base knock right away. Juan Soto then gets on with a walk because he's not challenged this time by Paul Skenes, even with his girl Livy Dunn in attendance, throwing out the first pitch that we saw among other Sports Illustrated models to guys like Mark Vientos and others. Where's Drew Smith when you need him, right? But in all seriousness, you have your girl there, and you're not even going to challenge Juan Soto in his first at-bat. Weak, if you ask me. But obviously, I'm just talking that way because Paul Skenes is a dog, and of course, he walked Soto to get Alonso to induce a double play ball, and that's exactly what happened. Alonso grounds into a double play, and then Brandon Nimmo strikes out swinging, and that does it for the first. In the second, we would see Isaiah Kiner-Falefa greet David Peterson unbelievably rudely to begin this one. He hits a line drive home run to left somehow that just gets out, and it's an early 1-0 lead for the Pittsburgh Pirates and their absolutely bottom feeder offense. From there, nothing else transpires, so we head to the bottom of that same inning where Mark Vientos leads things off with a single. McNeil pops out. Alvarez gets on with a walk. A second inning and as many innings where the Mets have themselves 2 on, less than 2 out, facing Paul Skenes. You couldn't take advantage in your first inning. Can you take advantage in the second? No, sadly, you cannot, as unfortunately Acuna would ground out after Beatty strikes out, and that does it. And in case you guys do not know the context of the Mets live tonight, they did go with Mark Vientos at DH, batting fourth, which I liked. Brett Beatty there, back of the hot corner, and they had Acuna at second base with McNeil in the outfield and center field because McNeil has very good splits against Paul Skenes. Well, very few guys have hit Paul Skenes well, especially in a very limited sample size for the Mets. Jeff McNeil has a home run against him. And what do we see, everybody? We see, yes, that Jeff McNeil would be the saving grace for the Mets on the offensive end to a degree against that same Paul Skenes in this 4-3 victory. Is in the third, we wouldn't see anything really transpire from either side in this one, but just double checking to make sure that I did not miss anything. 1-2-3 there for David Peterson as he gets ground out galore on Brian Hayes, Brian Reynolds, and then a fly out on Andrew McCutchen. Then in the bottom of the third, the Mets go down in order as Skenes gets a ground out, a line out, and a ground out to the top of the order in Lindor, Soto, and Alonso. As we then get to the fourth, everybody, Brandon Nimmo rips himself a no-doubter of a double in the center right field gap, hits off the wall, and the Mets have themselves yet again a runner in scoring position with less than 2 out for the third time in the past 4 innings. Thankfully, the Mets would pounce this time as Jeff McNeil, more Jeff McTriples, baby, taking advantage of the opportunities given him and pouncing with runners in scoring position. McNeil does exactly that. McDoubles, we should call him, as he gives the Mets an early 1-0 lead here off of Paul Skenes. D-Mac with a $5 haul in the chat. Thank you kindly for that, D-Mac. He says, Jeff McNeil's the guy you want at the plate with runners in scoring position versus Paul Skenes. Come on. How about a little love for Jeff, everyone? I'm giving it to him. I'm giving Jeff his flowers. Anytime that Jeff McNeil does things that we hope and expect him to do, or even goes above expectations, we're going to give him his flowers. He deserves that today, 1,000%. So McNeil, more like McDoubles, gives the Mets the 1-0 lead that we would see. Nothing else happens in the top of the fourth, but in the bottom of the fourth, we would see doubles happening for the Pirates. With 1 out, Triolo hits a double there that we see off of Peterson. Then a 2-out infield single for Brian Hayes, and Triolo should have scored on that play. If he just had his head down rounding third base, he would have scored because it was bobbled in that Mets infield. Beatty just missed the play after making a stellar play prior, mind you. Literally, the play prior, Beatty was an absolute web gem, but this one just gets out of his reach, and we see Lindor be redirected because of it, and has somehow, some way again, Triolo hesitated and didn't run. So either way, everybody, we see runners on, 2 outs for the Pirates, and they do not score. David Peterson gets a big K to strand him there, as we then head, everybody, to the bottom, to the, wait, what am I blanking on? To the 5th inning. We're in the 5th inning, folks. We would see in the 5th, Mr. Triolo get on. Wait, hold on. I got things all mixed up here. Was it the 4th or the 5th inning that happened? Okay. The 4th inning, the Pirates went down in order. That's what I thought, because Joey Bart and Matt Gorski struck out back-to-back. It was obviously what we saw there in the 5th inning that we have that happen. After Alexander Canario lined out, Triolo had his double. Henry Davison was out after a great web gem by Brett Beatty at the hot corner. Brian Hayes there, and then that did it for the inning. So as we now head to the bottom of the 5th in this one, Francisco Lindor, we would see have himself a 1-out single, his 2nd hit of the day already against Paul Skenes. Afterwards, Juan Soto would strike out on a sweeper upstairs. Ridiculous pitch placement, but it worked, and that had Soto looking silly. Alonso then would have strike out himself, ends it from there, and we head to the 6th inning. And in the 6th inning, everybody, as we're breaking down the latest walk-off victory for our New York Metropolitans, hit that like and subscribe button as you chime in, folks. And thank you kindly for doing exactly that. We would see in the 6th, McCutchen with himself an infield single. And it was a great play by Brett Beatty again. Diving out, it gets just in front of him, but unfortunately McCutchen is just safe there at first. Wasn't for a lack of effort by Beatty, though. Beatty was really strong in the hot corner, all things considered today. After that, everybody, we would see the McCutchen infield single. And then after the McCutchen infield single, we would see Joey Bart line out. Gorski called out on strikes, and what was a gorgeous changeup there by David Peterson. And Canario then flies out to end the inning. Shout out to Alexander Canario for not hurting the Mets too much, at least in game 1 for the Mets legend. If you guys don't remember Canario, the Mets had him in spring training. They traded for him from the Cubs, and then when he didn't crack the roster because we had too many outfield options, which didn't last long because Jose Siri fractured his freaking leg or so a couple weeks into the season, he's looking good in his recovery, and we'll talk more about that in a video dropping tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that, folks. But to further expand on this, the point I'm trying to make here is that what we're getting in guys like, especially here in Brett Beatty, Mark Vientos, they have been fantastic. But when we also look at what the Mets were able to get in the outfield front, they just had an abundance of riches, and Canario was on the outside looking in. So he got traded right as the season started to the Pittsburgh Pirates, and he's been solid for them, but the Mets were the better team between the two today, especially against Canario. And the bottom of the 6th, we would see Nimmo strikeout. Mark Vientos then, of course, death, taxes, and Mark Vientos having himself an opposite field hit. He's done it feels like every single game for the past 20 plus games, and Vientos entered today's game with 5 home runs over his past 20 games and over a 300 average and a 900 plus OPS. Vientos had himself multiple times getting on base. One was a single, the other was an opposite field kind of bloop double there. Just stayed fair on the first baseline. How many times has Vientos had contact quality just like that? Kind of absurd, but it's working, so I'm not going to sit here and complain about it. After Vientos puts himself in scoring position, Jeff McNeil gets on with a walk. A quality at bat by McNeil there. Sets up for Francisco Alvarez. 2 on, less than 2 out, but you could tell that McNeil was purposely walked to a degree there by Skenes to attack Francisco Alvarez, and Alvarez does exactly what Alonso did in the first inning, and that is grounding into a double play. This time it ended the inning, however, and that does it as we then head to the 7th. Billy Dottie with the $5 holla. Billy, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. It seems like Soto is saving his breakout for against the Yanks. Also, the NBA lottery is rigged. I'm a Rockets fan, so flag to the Mavs blows. Absolutely, Billy Dottie. Here's my quick Wardy 60-second tangent. You guys can put me on the clock right now. Okay. NBA lottery, I 100% agree. I thought it's been rigged for years as a Knicks fan who firmly thought they were going to land a guy in Zion Williamson especially, and for him to go to the Pelicans right after they traded away Anthony Davis is an absolute joke. The Pelicans would not be a franchise existing right now, in my humble opinion, or at least there would be greater issues if they did not win that draft lottery. And obviously it's aged like milk, because when you have all that great soul food there in New Orleans for a guy like Zion Williamson, what do you think is going to happen? Fast forward years later, brings us to present day. What did a lot of NBA fans want, with the exception of probably yourself as a Rockets fan? We would have loved to see Cooper Flagg be paired with Wemby and for them to build something dominant there with the Spurs, especially after adding De'Aaron Fox this past season too. Instead, the Dallas Mavericks, after trading away a generational talent, arguably the best in all the NBA, and Luka Doncic gets dealt to the Lakers in what many believe was a move set up by the NBA especially to increase ratings. They make that move. Nico Harrison looks like an absolute idiot. Worst GM in sports history, and now he's gifted a top talent in Cooper Flagg that he will absolutely be drafting with that first overall draft pick. That's ridiculous. It's complete BS. You can't tell me otherwise, and thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Now, to get back into this one, everybody, let's talk more about this ball game, because in the 7th, we would see Triolo get on with a walk, and then here comes Jose Budo. Now, something that I need to emphasize here, everybody, is my disgruntlement with Carlos Mendoza's decision-making today. I'm not going to nitpick too hard on him, but I just have to say this. David Peterson was at 90-plus pitches entering the 7th inning. There was many reason to believe that David Peterson was going to be done after getting that massive final out there in the 6th inning. Yet he stays and he comes in the 7th. This, in my opinion, was the writing on the wall of Carlos Mendoza yet again, stretching a Mets starter just one out too much, one batter too far, because again, he's at 90-plus pitches. I know it wasn't the end of the world to bring him in there, but I did not like it from the start. And I reiterated that, posting that on X. I don't like this. This does not make me feel comfortable. And of course, Peterson has a 10-plus pitch at bat, mind you, against the guy who barreled him better than anyone else in this ball game. That's where there's a lack of in-game feel, in my opinion. David Peterson gave up a double to Triolo the last time that they faced, or if not the first time or so. Then he's faced him again, lead off this inning. Triolo has over a 10-pitch walk he gets off of David Peterson. Peterson's day is done, and now you bring in, out of all reliever options, Carlos Mendoza decides to bring in, yes, Jose Budo. Jose Budo enters the ball game, having already given up 5 runs of inherited runners out of the 7 opportunities that he has had this season. Listen to that. Out of the 7 times that there have been inherited runners on base for Jose Budo this season, he's given up 5, entering this outing today. So what makes you think, even for a split second, that damn walk is not going to lead to a run scored? Because color me shocked, that is exactly what happened. It's almost like some people saw from a mile away. Go figure. After we would see Triolo steal second base, then he gets to third on a disengagement because who's not counting? Is it Alvarez? Is it Budo? I don't effing know, but what I do know is that you can't throw to the guys trying to steal at the base they're at, in this case second base, more than twice without catching them. If you don't catch them on the third attempt, it's an automatic stolen back that they get for the ensuing third base. That's what happened with Triolo. So you're telling me Triolo's at third base with less than 2 out. Then Brian Hayes is walked when Buddy can't hit anything. So frustrating to see. You got runners at the corners, less than 2 outs here. All they need is a sac fly, and they have themselves the lead. Why? Because the Mets couldn't hit shit with runners in scoring position at all in this ball game leading up to this point. What do we see happen, everybody? Brian Reynolds grounds out, and that drives in the run on fielder's choice. That makes it 2-1 there. Pittsburgh Pirates, and Andrew McCutchen then grounds out to end the inning. But not before the damage was done, and not before we would see charge to David Peterson, an earned run that he really didn't deserve, because I feel like he would have gone out of that, or at least there would have been something else happening. And I know they called it technically, is it called technically they're labeling a balk there when it's a disengagement and they fail? Regardless of what you want to label it, a balk, a disengagement, what have you, it was ridiculous. And I know that Budo will learn from this, but doesn't change the fact that it's yet again another outing where he's just thrown into the fire for no reason. What are we doing? I just don't get it. I don't get it in this situation. I really don't. But let's talk about how David Peterson fared today, because Peterson had himself a rock-solid start that cannot be underestimated, or understated, I should say. That makes more sense of the wordplay. Peterson's final line, everybody, 6 innings, 100 pitches, 5 hits, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, 2 earned runs, 7 strikeouts, and a 3.05 ERA. Peterson would have had a 2.84 ERA if he had the 100-run charge in him the way that it should have been. But yet again, another situation where the reliever comes in, allows the runner all the way from first to score somehow, and nothing's charged on them, but everything is charged on the starter that exited the ball game. Drives me up an effing wall. Peterson, when we look at his arsenal today, everybody, it was as follows. Breaking down his multi-pitch mix consisted of the four-seam fastball, topping out at 32% today, and was topping out 93 on the gun, sitting 92. Was a little down. He was actually over a mile per hour down on the velo today in Peterson. The sinker that he threw 22% of the time, topped out 93, sat right around 88, was sitting right around 90 rather. The curveball at 21% of the arsenal, topped out 82, sat 79. The changeup at 15% of the arsenal, topped out 85, sat 84. And the slider at 10% of the arsenal, topped out 85 and sat 84 as well. Guys, I'm giving David Peterson a rock solid 6.5 out of 10 today. I'm leaning between 6.5 and 7. He looked completely fine. He escaped some jams unscathed without a problem. He had the big strikeout pitches, especially what we saw there. Not only the four-seam, but when he went into the back pocket on the slider, it was working in his favor there. The changeup I liked a lot as well with some of the placement that he had in this matchup. So Peterson, I have very little complaints about. I thought he was rock solid in today's outing. And against a lesser Pittsburgh Pirates team, this is expected of David Peterson. And I was really hoping that Peterson was going to come out of today's start being the latest starter, not named Tyler McGill, to have a sub-3 ERA. Because entering today's game, not only did the Mets have the best rotation ERA in all of the National League and Major League Baseball, but they specifically have Griffin Canning, Clay Holmes, Kodai Senga, all with sub-3 ERAs. David Peterson and Tyler McGill have ERAs just over 3. There also might be one more starter that I'm missing there in that mix, but the point is out of their 5 to 6 options, they've all been nails. But David Peterson, again, guys, I'm going to give him a rock solid 6.5, closer to 7 out of 10. And I would love to hear from you guys in the live chat as well as in the comments down below. How would you grade David Peterson's final line? Because as we continue on from here, everybody, the Mets are in a very tight ball game at this point. They're down 2-1. So now we get set up, everybody, for the bottom of the 7th. And in the bottom of the 7th, things get better for the New York Mets. Why? Because Tyrone Taylor comes in pinch hitting for Brett Baty, who, mind you, I really wish that they kept Brett Baty in this ball game. I understand that they had a pinch hitter in here because of the pitching matchup, especially knowing that there's a lefty issue for Baty. But Brett Baty is not going to get any better against lefties if he doesn't play against lefties. So I would really appreciate if we could actually get Baty some at-bats every now and then against lefties when Winker isn't coming back any immediate time soon from his oblique injury. And Baty has been very productive with his defense, and the offense, we've seen the flashes with it. So why not try to further maximize that versus potentially stunning his growth? Seems silly, yet here we are. But Tyrone Taylor was effective because he comes out and he gives the Mets their 25th hit by pitch this season. The Mets have been drilled more than any other team this season. So cue the Buck Showalter 2022 season memes of everyone, their mother, being drilled, and SNY posting those clips of zooming in on his eyes and da-da-da-da. If you guys remember what I'm referring to. Steals a bag, and that stolen base would be vital for the Mets in this inning because Acuna then gets on with an infield single. I don't know how he does this, but Luis Angel Acuna continues to be the most impressive man imaginable with the speed. Not only does he get to first base, but he does it all while getting Tyrone Taylor to third and outrunning the pitcher at first base somehow with the tag. They were pretty much identical with the cleats when they looked at the replay, but it was in the runner's favor, and Acuna was deemed safe to begin with, so there was no overturn, which was huge. Acuna's on, so the Mets have themselves runners at the corners with no outs to begin the 7th. All they need is a ground out, a bunt, a sac fly, something, and it's a tied ball game. Lindor strikes out in what was an uninspiring at-bat for him, in my opinion. Then Juan Soto had himself a not great at-bat either, but it gets the job done. A soft dribbler of a grounder there, ripped to the right side. That drives in the tying run of the ball game. Mets are tied 2-2, setting the stage up for Pete Alonso. And Pete Alonso would drive in Luis Angel Acuna on a ground ball when Acuna gets all the way from second base, guys. The cojones on Luis Angel Acuna is through the roof. I'm obsessed with the Venezuelan phenom. I would love to hear from you guys. What's a great nickname for Luis Angel Acuna? Because there's a bunch that I'm sure that we can figure out for him. There's just a lot that I think of. And I think of, you know what I think of right away? Because I just think of him being a speed demon as well. I want to think of like a cartoon character specifically of a guy that's known for speed. Whether that is, you know, like, and I'm trying, you guys can figure it out for me. You guys know what I'm trying to say. Give me an idea for what Luis Angel Acuna's nickname should be, the main nickname that we will refer to him as throughout the course of the season here on the platform. So Acuna somehow, someway scores all the way from second there, and that gives the Mets a massive 3-2 lead at the time, and thankfully, they would win in the end, but not before they would rally back, that being in the Pittsburgh Pirates. AJ, thank you for the $5 holla in the chat. I appreciate that. AJ says, hot take, I wasn't blown away by Skenes' performance. He pitched a good game, but I was expecting a Strasburg-type outing, 12-17 strikeout game. I get that, but this Mets team is going to make you work. And the Mets did make Skenes work, even when they were struggling as mightily as they did with runners in scoring position. I do agree to an extent, AJ, and thank you kindly for the donation. Call him Roadrunner. Tasmanian Devil feels like a great one because I feel like he relates more with the Tasmanian Devil, especially when he's really kind of, you know, doing his little tornado and bolting. Roadrunner makes most sense based on the speed. Another guy that pops in my head right away, because we're on the topic of animals, what is that little mouse's name? You guys know what I'm referring to? That little mouse, I think he wears a sombrero. I don't know his name, though. If you guys can let me know in the chat, I'd really appreciate it. Is it Speedy Gonzalez? Oh, wait, I think we actually just figured it out. Steve, I think you just call it Steve Lawn and Hines in the chat. It's Speedy Gonzalez. Okay, Speedy makes sense, too. All right, guys. So between Taz, Roadrunner, and Speedy Gonzalez, which character do we think is most connected to Luis Angel Acuna? Which one rolls off the tongue best? Let me know in the chat, and we will pick whatever the common consensus is from you guys. Spam in the chat which one you guys think makes most sense, and we'll try to reiterate that more after we do it. William, 10 minutes of commercials. I don't know where there were 10 minutes of commercials, William. Either you didn't count the minutes properly, which feels that way, or you're just talking about something. I have no clue what you're referring to, my man. And I promise you, while I appreciate the sport, we're going to get through this. If you have to ragely get out of here for some reason because you couldn't handle an ad read that I did for no longer than 1.5 to 2 minutes for SeatGeek earlier in this one, buddy, appreciate the support, but we got 33,000 strong. That ain't going anywhere for a reason, and more to come. A lot more to come. We've been growing big time this season. Speedy, let's see. Speedy Gonzalez. Luis Lightning is a good one too. Oh, that's a really good one. That's a really good one. I kind of like. And no, it's not. Who's bringing race into this, you idiots? I literally said cartoon characters and animals. The only one bringing race in are the same people that are trying to like rage race bait everyone. So what are you, 10? You got to be at least between 10 and 12. Otherwise, you're just idiotic, to say the least. But I'm actually going to go with Luis Lightning because I like that a lot. I like wordplay that rolls off the tongue, so that is what we're going to go with. And to avoid controversy, because again, apparently you can't even talk about common cartoon characters now known for their speed without bringing race involved, because is the times we live in here in 2025, I suppose. Just idiots. You ruin all that is fun. God forbid I want to call him Speedy. Yeah, gotta axe Wardy. Gotta cancel Wardy now. Fucking idiots. Okay. As we continue on from here in this ball game, everybody, because the Mets did win this one. But before they won, they did have to deal with some adversity. And that adversity came here as we got into the ninth. But before we got to the ninth, we did see in the eighth inning, everybody, it is as follows. Danel Nunez comes in what is a really close ball game. The Mets are up by 1. Oh, Luisan Bolt, as in Luis Angel Acuna Bolt, that's a good one too. But I like Luis Lightning. I think that's really good. I think it really is. All right, Rogers, sayonara. Malone, I know you're not. All right, guys, as we continue from here, after Nimmo does the unthinkable, but I shouldn't say unthinkable, because if you guys know Brandon Nimmo, if you've been paying attention, then you know that he has an knack for doing something very impressive, and that is stealing and robbing home runs. And that's exactly what Brandon Nimmo did yet again in this matchup. He robbed an absolute, what would have not been a bomb, but would have gone to the top of the wall there. Huge catch by Brandon Nimmo in left field, saving the ass of Danil Nunez. Nunez can do nothing but raise his hands in excitement, and I can do nothing but just yell in excitement because I'm so pumped up about it, and we absolutely love to see it. So we get that home run robbery right away, everybody, and then we go on from there. Nothing else transpires in the inning. Danil Nunez finally has a nice 1-2-3 for the Mets here. Took a couple outings, but we got it. The last time he pitched, I was in attendance for one of those games against the Cubs, and he didn't give up any runs there, which I appreciated. And as we, chaos on the base pass. Acuna causes chaos. Yeah. Okay, Acuna and chaos. Chaos Acuna. That could work. Chaos Acuna or Luis Lightning. Luis Lightning sounds better, but Chaos Acuna isn't terrible either. We're going to continue with this wordplay throughout the course of the season too, so not going anywhere because we love to have fun with it. That sets us up for the bottom of the 8th, everybody. Chef McNeil gets on with his second walk of the day. McNeil there with a 1-out walk, everybody, then gets us to the 9th inning. And the 9th inning, and I do think that was home run robbery because that was going to be, again, the top of the wall, the top of the padding, the orange. Beyond that, that's a home run usually. So Nimmo not only had himself a double today, but had himself a home run robbery and doing so. Cruz and Acuna is a good one too. You guys are getting damn creative. Rebecca, stop it. I thought I had them figured out. Okay, in the 9th inning, everybody, Alexander Canario leads things off against Huascar Brosman. Yes, the Mets decide to go with Brazo instead of Edwin Diaz or Ryan Stank today in the 9th inning, and it works. And Siri is lightning. That is true. So I guess once Siri comes back, we'll have to figure out, because Siri is the lightning bolt emoji. That's what he's known for, but he also doesn't have a name that goes in hand with lightning, per se. So we'll figure it out. I promise we'll figure it out on the Jose Siri front. Canary, though, gets on with a leadoff single to kickstart the inning off of Huascar Brosman. Then Triolo somehow reaches on what should have been an easy double play turn. It isn't. And the reason why it's not a double play turn is simply because Francisco Lindor has another error. And when I tell you Lindor had an error, this was as head-scratching and frustrating as they come. All Lindor needed to do was just keep his head down and make the flick to second base to induce an easy double play. But Lindor was thinking too far ahead, and something that he's caught himself a couple times this year leading to his demise on the error front happened yet again. Bobbles the ball, everyone's safe, and that's about it. Call him the better brother. Oh, that's a good one, Kish. I wouldn't go that far right now statistically. Shazam is a good one too. Shazam could work as well for others. Absolutely. Cool 5-tool Acuna. That's not a bad one either. Hey Siri, it's not your night. I love that call. Shout out to the Oakland A's broadcast because they were in Oakland last year for just being so piss poor and jinxing Jose Siri. If you guys don't remember that context, Jose Siri hit not one, but 2 home runs in 24 hours against the A's last year. And the broadcaster, I forget her name, but she jinxed Siri saying, "Hey Siri, it's not your night," as Siri's facing Mason Miller. And he takes Mason Miller deep. And then the next day, he hits a bomb right away as well. And he pimps both of them. LGM with the $2 holla. Great member. Thank you so much. Call him Lightning Latino. Out of the haters, Wardy. I feel like I'm going to get called. See, I can't do that. I feel like I'm not going to be allowed to call him Lightning Latino because that is going to be offending to some people. And I can't speak on the fact because, again, I'm not Spanish. So if that's going to bother someone, I'm not trying to bother anybody. But that's what I mean. I get what you're saying, and I don't think there's anything malicious initially with that comment, but I don't speak for everyone else. And I know if the chat is an example of anything, it's that anything can happen in this space when it comes to the wordplay and if it's going to be good or not. Acuna Espresso is type 5. That is good. All right, Sabrina Carpenter, what the hell's going on over here? The Mets have the cooler Acuna. I agree with that for sure. LGM, again, thank you so much for the donation. Acuna Express. Oh, I got to write these down. There's too many good ones. Hold on. All right, everybody. This ball game is about to be broken down. We're almost at the end here. So, after we would see that very unfortunate error by Francisco Lindor, then we see Mr. Davis put his sack bunt down, and that allows things to get more spicy. Now there are runners in scoring position with less than 2 out for the Pirates. All they need is a ground and a sac fly, and it's a tied ball game. And they get it from Cabrian Hayes. And the worst part of it all, everybody, is that the 2 most reliable defensive infielders for the Mets so far. Bullet Acuna is a good one, too. I like Acuna Express. That's a good one, too. I will say this. Luis Angel Acuna, like Lindor, is trying to make the quick heads-up play, driving on a ball there in the infield from third base because Acuna got shifted to third base while playing second most of the ball game because Beatty was taken out a half inning prior or so, or just over an inning or so ago in the seventh because Tyrone Taylor came in as a pinch hitter. Taylor then obviously was shifted, and Acuna got shifted to third base, and Acuna making his first big play at third base today. Can't really make it, unfortunately, and that allows the tying run to come in and score. Very unfortunate, but Acuna still somehow, some way, initially got the throw off to first base thinking that, okay, that Ke'Bryan Hayes would be grounded out, but upon review, he's safe. So Ke'Bryan Hayes stays on, less than 2 out, and then thankfully the Mets get a massive double play ball. Huascar Brosban deserves endless credit for this, and I can't emphasize it enough. Brosban dealt with an unbelievably unfortunate inning where errors galore left, right, and center, and he had to go out and get some big outs for the Mets to escape that mess before the Pirates took at least a 4-3 lead, and he did exactly that. And Camp, I am grateful to say that I believed in Acuna longer than most, I feel like. Since he made his debut last year, I didn't have a doubt about him pretty much at all in spring training, and it's great to see that be reaffirmed from what we've seen so far this season. Hurricane Acuna is good. Luis Legs is a great one too. L-Train Acuna. Oh, you guys are good. Really good. I love these. Continue to relay them, everybody, as we do our future shows. These are a lot of fun. I like them. After it's a tie ball game, everybody, we would see that big double play end it. Then, in the bottom of the ninth, Francisco Lindor. Guys, sometimes the baseball gods just want to gift you. The baseball gods know how good Francisco Lindor is, and they know that he is not what that error made him out to look like and be just an inning or so ago. So what do the baseball gods do? They greet Francisco Lindor in a beautiful fashion, and that's by allowing him to get on base with a ball that goes right up the middle, past somehow, some way, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. That allows the leadoff runner to get on for Mr. Juan Soto, who right away, no hesitation, rips himself a single that was deep enough to get Lindor first to third. Shout out to Juan Soto with the productive hitting there. That was really important. And then Pete Alonso hits a deep fly ball opposite field. Plenty of time for Lindor, and he comes in to score, and the Mets go on to win this one, everybody, by a final score of 4-3. Eric Acuna is a really good one, too, but that'll make more sense for when he actually makes big, like, jumping catches and stuff like that defensively. Then it will be him stealing bags. But I see the point that you're trying to make, for sure. Acuna Matata is great, but we talked about that a lot as well. And that's also something that they do with Ronald, too. That's a good point. 7 Train Louis, okay. Again, we got a button. The missile, love it, love it. You want to know what I also love today, everybody? Jeff McNeil had himself a great day at the plate. Pete Alonso had the sac fly RBI to walk it off for the Mets. But outside of Luis Angel Acuna, who I thought was just electric again with the base running ability, there was one man that I think deserves a lot of credit for today's game, and that's Brandon Nimmo. Big game for Brandon Nimmo today with the double, the home run robbery, and the stolen base. I actually apologize. He didn't have a stolen bag. I meant to take that off the graphic. Again, if I don't have at least one thing wrong on my graphic, is it really a WardyNYM live stream? All jokes aside, Brandon Nimmo didn't have a stolen base, but he had everything else I just relayed to you. 1 for 3 with a home run. 227 average, 722 OPS now on the season for Brandon Nimmo. And Brandon is coming off of a series that he batted what we saw there. And what the heck? He's batting 225. I apologize. He went 1 for 4. What is going on? What is going on with Wardy's graphics today? I thought I had it all good. I was wrong. Ignore the stat line down below. Just focus on the pretty highlights and what he did right, okay? Brandon Nimmo went 1 for 4 with the home run robberies. Now at a 225 average at 717 OPS. I was off by a hair because I didn't see that final at bat. I forgot to record it rather, so that's on me. My apologies, everybody. But Brandon Nimmo, guys, after batting 400 this past series for the Mets, now has himself a pretty productive first game here in said series. While, mind you, Nimmo was finding himself batting in today's lineup here, 4th for the Mets with Vientos batting 5th. I think I said Vientos was batting 4th earlier. I apologize. I meant to say 5th there. And Brandon Nimmo was productive, but the Mets' lack of hitting with runners in scoring position continues to look like a major problem. And Caesar, the problem is if I try to get others to do them, they're not going to have them done in time. No one's going to be quicker than myself speed running to then go live immediately after the ball game. So I get what you're saying, but I'd rather just deal with having a hiccup every now and then, and you guys just dealing with it because it's not the end of the world, than, you know, me entrusting other people that are not going to meet me on my timely needs. And I need things ASAP when I do this stuff, for sure. So it's not easy to come about. But Guys, I have a question for everyone watching live and for our replay viewers. How would you grade Brandon Nimmo as of late? Because I've been pretty satisfied with Brandon Nimmo lately. I'm going to give Nimmo, just over the past week of baseball, I'm going to give Nimmo a solid 7.5 out of 10. I've been encouraged with the outings that we've gone from Nimmo. I've been happy with how he's been swinging the ball more as of late. And while I don't love to see him when he's constantly flying out and line out, I do love to see him be productive the way that he's now being for this Mets team. So Brandon Nimmo, he was a standout on the offensive end for me today. I definitely think you can make that same exception for Jeff McNeil, who got on base 3 times, including his RBI double. McNeil is now up to a 244 average and 845 OPS. And the rest of the Mets lineup, everybody, today was nothing crazy, but they did have 9 hits to the Pirates 7. They had a 232 expected batting average to 226 of the Pittsburgh Pirates. And when we look at other key pieces on the offensive end for the Mets today, Mark Vientos had a 2-for-4 game with an opposite field double. We love to see that. We also saw Pete Alonso 1-for-4 that we saw with the game-winning RBI. And pardon me, everybody. Pete Alonso did technically have 2 RBIs in this ball game, so we got to give him that. He's well over 30 on the season. 318 average, over 1,000 OPS for our stud first baseman. Juan Soto, 1-for-4. Francisco Lindor, 2-for-5 with a run scored. Lindor's at a 304 average, 874 OPS. So sick, so good. And he's doing things 10 times better than what he was doing previously. I actually have the numbers that I think I can pull up to show you guys right now. Let's see here. Entering today's game, everybody, listen to this. This was as of, before the game started today. Through Mother's Day, Francisco Lindor in 2021 was batting a $189 with a 313 on base and a 264 slug for 68 WRC plus. That's 32% below league average as a batter. In 2022, he batted 239 with a 323 on base and a 419 slug for 14% above league average as a batter. In 2023, he had a 223 average, a 309 on base, a 420 slug for 1% above league average as a batter. This past year, 2024, 214 average, 281 on base, 403 slug for 7% below league average as a batter. This season, leading up to today's game, a 301 average, a 368 on base, a 509 slug for 47% above league average. Francisco Lindor has been absolutely remarkable so far this season, and he continues to exemplify that great play. We just need him to find a bit more consistency and getting rid of those errors, because it's kind of crazy to see Lindor now having, I think, 5 errors just like a month and a half or so into the season, or, almost 2 months in the season now for counting that final week of the year. Yes, it's bizarre. It's definitely bizarre, but I do know that Lindor will get out of it, and I don't think that this is going to be a continued defensive rut for him, for sure. But guys, the rest of the Mets lineup in this one, talking about McNeil, who's now at a 244 average, 845 OPS. Vientos, 243 with a 721 OPS. Brett Beatty, went 0-for and 0-for-2 in this one, 221 with a 725 OPS and a strikeout. Tyrone Taylor had a run scored, 239 average, 649 OPS. Luisano Acuna, 279 with a 670 OPS. He's still been productive. And Francisco Alvarez, who did go 0-for today, batting 298 with a 760 OPS. He just did not have a good matchup today at all against Paul Skenes. You know how some guys you could clearly tell were thriving and others weren't. Not the case today for some of these right-handed batters. They were just looking silly against Paul Skenes, and that's why you saw more of the lefties in Brandon Nimmo and Francisco Lindor at the time when he was batting from the left side, and obviously, most notably, Jeff McNeil kind of pouncing on the opportunities given them by Skenes, who was pounding plenty in the zone against lefties, and against righties specifically, was missing a decent amount that we saw on his glove side. But guys, a couple more things I did want to share with you all before we wrap this one up, and I'm not going to cut this off for replay. Actually, should I cut it off for replay viewers? I guess we'll cut it off for replay viewers now, but I'm not going to be much longer. I'll probably just be another tops 10 minutes for you guys. But before I get out of here, I do want to talk a little bit more on this Mets team and kind of building the expectation heading into tomorrow night's matchup. So to anyone that watched this live, thank you guys so much for hitting that like and subscribe on your way in, and surely on your way out as well. Please let us know all your key takeaways from this latest amazing Mets victory here, as they won big time by a final score of 4-3. To all of our live viewers, we're going to continue on with the live show, including my guy Lloyd and Sean and White Mike, great members in the chat, chime in right now. But to all of our replay viewers, this is where we're going to cut things off. So I will see you all again tomorrow for post-game coverage, as well as potentially pre-game coverage at minimum. Let's go Mets, baby. Peace out.